Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
How are you this morning, Ian? Thank you for your time.
Well, I'm surprisingly well. I say surprisingly because my band and crew and I have all managed to remain COVID-free in spite of the last many months, and including 3-4 months of doing tours again during last year. So we're all okay. But sometimes I look back on it and think it's amazing that none of us have actually been ill or had to cancel anything through COVID, because we've been out and about and traveling around different parts of Europe. And so, I look in the mirror every morning and think, I'm just pleased to be waking up.
Well, I'm really pleased to have you on because I'm a big fan of Jethro Tull, also a huge fan of the song Aqualung, and that riff, I felt like all weekend long it was just like in my head. Did you actually come up with that riff?
It was sitting in I could say a holiday in certainly some relatively cheap motel in the Midwest of America, and I always had my guitar with me, so I was sitting on my bed, and this little riff came to mind, and I picked up the phone and called Martin Barr in his room, and I said, "Quick, get over here! Just bring your guitar. Just let me run through this idea for a song with you, and we'll try it out at sound check tonight. Before the show." And so he came over, and I played it to the riff and the chords and things. And playing it on an acoustic guitar didn't convey the energy or the nature. He learned it and said, "Oh, okay, well, we'll try that at sound check." So at sound check, he played it, and I said, "No, turn it up." Turn it up to number 11. And as soon as he then played it, his eyes lit up, and we all went, "Wow, there you go. That's going to be a good song."
And people have been turning it up now for damn near 50 years. It's one of the greatest riffs of all time. When I read the lyrics of the song, though, it sounds as though it starts sitting on a park bench, eyeing little girls with bad intent. I read that the song is about a homeless man. Is that true?
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of the things that, there are elements of a lot of the lyrics over many years that, how, for me, they resonate because they have something to do with some memory that I have, but they're also compendiums, I suppose, of a number of characters, and sometimes they're stereotypes, which are probably in today's world not really, not politically correct. The things that I've written that really, I'm not going to get cancelled or taken off radio or have somebody literally gunning for me as a result, but they're a product of their time, and some things I think you just have to accept that was the way things were. Just as you can go back and look at most of the Old Testament and think, whoops, did they really mean that? It's there's stuff out there that we have to always put into context, and somebody maybe in 100 years from now or 200 years from now will look back on the days of Donald Trump and say, "Oh yeah, he seemed like quite a pussycat. He seemed like a really laid-back guy." It's all about context.
Is it true that you ran away from home at 16 years old? I heard you say that on Letterman back in the early 80s. Is that a true story?
Well, it wasn't running away from home so much as running away from school. I didn't actually run away. I was asked to leave. But I went to our college, and then I left home, I think, at about the age of 19, finally, when I was at that point becoming a musician. But I didn't really run away from home. No, I left home because there wasn't the opportunity, musically speaking, in the town that I lived in with my parents. So I had to head south to London to try and find work and to try and develop a musical career. And it was a big risk to take. I mean, it could have gone horribly wrong. And I always thought in my mind, 6 months later, I'll probably come back with my tail between my legs and say, "Mummy, can you let me in, and can you cook my supper again. I'm hungry and cold and didn't work out, and you were right. I should never have done that in the first place. But happily, things went okay.
And now here we are celebrating 50 years of the band Jethro Tull. We're talking with the frontman, Ian Anderson. They've been working hard these last few years, despite what's been going on with...
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
The pandemic, it's been almost 20 years since Jethro Tull released an album. What was the motivation, inspiration for recording this new music?
Well, in the last... many years, there have been several pieces of product have come out, solo albums and more specialized albums like the string quartet album, a couple of books, many, many, many tours, of course. But the guys in the band who'd been with me for about 15 years on average, they'd never been on an album released simply as Jethro Tull. So in 2017, I decided I should write an album as Jethro Tull, and the guys get to be on a Jethro Tull record finally, since they've been playing the music for all that time, the Jethro Tull repertoire on stage. So it was deliberately written with that in mind, and it was a rock album. That's what I sat down to do, was to write an album of rock music and with the guys, and that's the way it worked out. And what I'm working on now for the next project is also very much a rock album. So much so that in order to make the demos next month, I actually just bought an electric guitar, something I haven't had for many, many years. But I thought, this time around, I'd better get an electric guitar. So instead of going da-da-da-da-da-da on a little acoustic guitar, I'll actually make a loud noise to convey to our guitar player a little bit more about the feel of the music that he gets to listen to in March.
A very unorthodox career that you guys had in rock and roll music, because a lot of people wouldn't describe your music as rock and roll. There's folk influence, there's blues influence, there's flute playing. I mean, this isn't the Stones, this isn't the Beatles, but you guys had commercial success really without any commercial songs. Did you ever get approval or acceptance from some of those popular commercial bands from the late 60s and 70s?
Well, yeah, I think, there's quite a list of people who, from different musical genres who had a soft spot for Jethro Tull in their formative years. To mention a few, Johnny Rotten from the Sex Pistols was a huge fan of the song Aqualung, and the guitar player from the Red Hot Chili Peppers was a big fan of Thick as a Brick. And other people from the punk era. I remember meeting Joey from the punk band Joey Ramone, the Ramones, yeah. And he came rushing over asking me for an autograph, and I was rather pleased, because I listened to the Ramones. I always thought they were a refreshing, simple way of expressing rock music. So sometimes you have these little mutual relationships with people, and it's quite surprising, perhaps to them, that I'm a bit of a fan of their music and vice versa. So, hearing that Eddie Vedder would take a copy of the stand-up album with him when he was touring and play it every night before he went on stage was endearing. I mean, he didn't tell me that. He told one of my road crew that. We went to see him at a show the night before. But, those sort of things, you think, well, they're people from a different generation, a different kind of a music, and yet there was something in Jethro Tull's music that appealed to them, whether they were punk, alternative rock, contemporary rock bands, or these days, of course, contemporary progressive rock bands, who are quite likely to mention Jethro Tull as being one of their influences, even though they are probably half the age of my son. But music goes on, spins on down through the generations.
One thing I love about watching some of the old videos of Jethro Tull performing is how physical and animated that you were on stage, man. You would be all over the place, up on one leg, playing that flute, a lot of energy. Did that take a toll on you over the years?
Well, there are a few accidents. When you're running around a stage, sometimes it's dark and you get blinded by spotlights and things. So I've had a few injuries to wrists, legs, ankles, knees, particularly. But they're kind of under control. I've been over the years to see a few surgeons, with a view to thinking, well, maybe I need to have some knee surgery or back surgery or whatever it might be. But the advice is always the same. If you're managing to keep it under control, then best not go under the surgeon's knife, because that is a slippery slope that almost certainly, however successful it might be in the short term, that chances are a few years later you've got to do it all over again. And so I've managed to avoid any surgery of that sort. I did a bit of damage to a knee once and had to have some surgery for it, but I just have a missing anterior cruciate ligament in one leg, and I can.
Our biggest bath event of the year has arrived online at the Home Depot. Right now, get up to 40% off select bath online, plus free delivery on our wide selection of on-trend faucets. Find the look that fits your style from top brands like Glacier Bay. There's never been a better time to create your perfect bathroom with online savings from the Home Depot. Make your bathroom upgrade a reality today with our lowest bath prices of the year at HomeDepot.com. How doers get more done.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Manage without, as long as I try and keep the muscles around it supportive and holding my knee together when I'm running around. So it's okay. You get used to the fact that you're not 100%, but 90% is it's enough to do what you do most of the time. I don't feel impaired physically. It's just I'm not. I would not be running marathons or competing in a tennis final or doing any of that sort of stuff. But if I'm crossing a busy road and there's a huge bus coming towards me, you should see me run.
You could move then, huh? Can you still get up on one leg and play that flute? That was some kind of move you used to do.
Well, if the money's right.
Nice.
Yeah, of course I can. Yeah, that's actually relatively easy, and it's not something I ever practice because I don't do it. I don't think about it. I just do it when I'm on stage, and it's just one of those things that it kind of feels right, and so it doesn't thus far present any problems. I think it's really all about balance, and there is something that comes naturally. It's a bit like riding a bicycle. You think about it, you'll fall off it. Same thing if you try and stand on one leg and do it on purpose and think about it, you'll fall over. But when you just do it, everything just seems to click into place.
The new album is titled The Zealot Gene, and a zealot, I had to look that up. I wasn't sure what the meaning behind that was, and it's a person who is fanatical and uncompromising in pursuit of their religious, political beliefs or other ideals. Would you consider yourself a zealot?
No, I'm really very much the opposite. I'm a man of the middle ground. I'm someone who, I'm fanatical. I think is I can understand people being that way, especially in the context of social media. You have the opportunity to express yourself in a very loud and forceful way, sometimes in a cruel, hurtful, divisive way. But I'm not that guy. I tend to be I'm frankly just plain boring. I'm a professional fence sitter. I like to sit on the fence and not have to be forced into extreme views. I like to think about it, and if I decide I want to get off the fence, jump off one side or the other, it's with due consideration, and also with the knowledge that if it ain't actually as good as it looked down there, I'll just get back on the fence again. And so I'm the opposite kind of person. I'm a moderate.
You kind of have had a unique life in a sense of you always had music, but it seems like you were an entrepreneur as well. You owned salmon farms, and you have bought land, and it seems like you've been involved in a lot of different business ventures. What's the most successful business venture you've had outside of music in the last 50 years?
Well, I got involved in aquaculture in 1978 because I actually read about it in an airline magazine. On a flight somewhere, I read about salmon farming being a new potential industry in the west coast of Scotland. And it intrigued me, and I started to read about it, and the opportunity came along to try to establish a marine salmon farm, and that got going in around 1980, I suppose. We were up and running, and then over the next few years it expanded to the point where we had 9 operating fish farms and 3 processing plants, and we were one of the bigger producers of salmon and other fish-related products that were to be found in the supermarkets of Europe. But it got to the point really by the new millennium when it was getting a little scary. If anything went wrong, I was really going to lose my shirt. And a couple of bad things happened along the way. We had a fire in one of the factories that completely burnt down, and desperately we had to build a new factory from scratch. Which was millions of dollars of expenditure, taking another risk. And I think around about 2000, I thought, what, I've been doing this for 20 years now, and it's probably time to get back to being full-time doing music while I still can, because it did take up some of my time, doing the business side of things, and I wasn't enjoying it really as much as I did in the first 3 or 4 years when it was quite exciting. But once my days of bobbing around in little rubber boats with echo sounders and oxygen equipment and whatever, once I got past the exciting bit of it, then once it was all up and running and had been for a few years, it became too much like business. The adventuring side of it had gone, and I was happy to leave it behind and sell it off to various other people. So we broke up the empire and sold off the component parts to a number of other companies, and I said goodbye to the world of aquaculture. But if I carried on, what I would be doing now is I would be a shellfish farmer. I would be farming scallops or mussels and oysters and basically bivalves. I'm a bivalve guy. They don't have a face on them, so I don't feel so bad about growing them for human consumption. Whereas, I'm not much of a killer these days. I don't eat much meat. I'm mostly plant-based food, is most of what I eat. But you put a plate of bivalves in front of me with a little pasta or some rice, and I'm okay with that.
Are you going to be heading over to the States in support of this new album? Will we be seeing Jethro Tull performing in the US of A coming up anytime soon?
Well, it might be in support of the next album, because we are looking at the opportunities in 2023. But last year when I spoke to my agent about this year, he said, listen, I've got...
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
So many tours and concerts I'm trying to reschedule into 2022. He said that, frankly, there is just no space. You just can't find availabilities. Everybody has been rescheduling for 2 years now, and so every performing arts center, every theater, every venue is chock-a-block. And it's not just about finding an empty date; it's finding a geographically workable tour, because you've got to make it flow. You've got to be practical to do. In terms of trucks and buses and the physical means of getting around, and it's just really a bad time. So we're looking at 2023 to try and get our names on a few slots to do a few shows in the USA in 2023, COVID permitting.
And finally, what is Ian Anderson listening to in the 2020s? What kind of music is it? If you're going to be sitting back on the ranch there, what will Ian Anderson be listening to? What's some bands or artists that you're into right now?
Well, if I was at home, frankly, nothing. I'm unless somebody asks me to play on their record and I have to listen to try to understand it and play it a lot of times and then sit down and record. But normally speaking, if I'm listening to music, it's my own music, and I'm doing it for a reason, like trying to remember the right notes and words to sing, because I've got a tour coming up. So, in that sense, I'm not really a music listener, but sometimes if I'm sitting on an airplane, because I'm not a happy flyer, I'm a nervous flyer, and sometimes I try to take my mind off it by listening to a bit of music, and then it would be an odd mixture of stuff. It could be George Frederick Handel, or maybe a Mozart flute concerto, but then it could be ZZ Top, or it could be the best rock tenor ever in the history of music, which is Lou Gramm from Foreigner. So I'll be listening to something that's probably not anything like the music I play, but it's just there to soothe me and keep my mind off clear air turbulence.
A very eclectic playlist for one Ian Anderson, lead man of Jethro Tull. They're celebrating 50 years of rockin' there in the free world, and the new video is out, Sad City Sisters, which is on the new album, The Zealot Gene. Thank you so much for your time, Ian, and best of luck and great health for the upcoming year here.
Yeah, and watch out on JethroTull.com. The website will have all the tour dates and indeed everything about the new album, how you can buy it, how you can listen to it, etc. So visit JethroTull.com, and then my job is a whole lot easier. Great to talk to you. Take care.
All right, so there we were, cruising through the new open-air zoo, when I realized that the park was closing in like 15 minutes. Luckily, we were in my Nissan Rogue. With its powerful VC turbo engine, well, we had time to see all the animals. Whoa! And outrun a few!
Drive the Nissan Rogue.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.